Hey y'all, you like this herringbone back porch swing? Do you want to know how to build one? I'm going to show you how coming up. Alright y'all, it is getting cold in Florida, and to me that means fire pits and bonfires and all that jazz. So today we're building a swing. First thing you want to do is go and get your material list. So after that, we're going to go ahead and cut all our boards. So I'm going to bring you up in here so you can see what's happening. Alright, the first thing we're going to do is cut our 21-inch 2x4s. You're going to need 3 of those. You're going to cut them at a 10-degree angle to the long side. So when now once you have those cut, you're going to cut 3 at 19.5 to the long point. Next, we're going to cut our deck boards to the size of swing we're doing. I'm doing a 5 foot. So I'm going to cut these guys down to 5 foot. Alright, next we'll cut our brace work that goes between our spines, we'll say. And we know that it's 60 inches is what I'm building. If you're building a 6 footer, once again, like I said, it'll be different, but if you're building a 5 footer like me, that's 60 inches, then you need to burn 4.5 for each spine, or 1.5 inches for each spine, which equals 4.5, which brings us to 55.5. And then we want to cut that in half, which is 27.75. Next, we'll cut our last 2x4 down to 5 foot. And then we're going to take what's left over after we've cut all of our other pieces. You should have a 2x4 roughly this size and a 2x4 roughly this size. You need 4 10-inch pieces for your handrails. So we'll cut them. And once you get those cut, you're going to take your saw, put them on a 45. You're going to shave, it's 3/4 of an inch is what you want to cut him to. So, just so you can see what I'm talking about. See here, the width of your 2x4, you make your mark at 3/4, and essentially what we're going to do is cut that corner off on each of them on one side. That just gives it a little better finished look when we're done. This is the look we're going for. See, it just gives it, that's the bottom of our arm rests. It just gives it a little finished look. So we'll cut 4. We need 4 of those. So once you get those cut, you're going to rip down your 5/4 boards to 1.75 inches, and that will leave you 3 really similar size pieces. They won't be exact. That middle one's going to be a little off. It's according to what kind of blade you're using and so on and so forth, but there'll be 3 roughly 1.75 inch pieces left. So we're going to cut them down. Alright, now we're going to have to dado our brace work, our support pieces. And what you're going to want to do here is, this is our 10-degree here. So you put him up against your fence, and yes, before people get in and say, oh, I'm being dangerous and stuff, I don't have, my big saw is packed up right now. Normally I would have my slide, my T-roller here to slide with. I don't have it right now, so this is what I'm going to do. But you want to raise it up 3/4 of an inch, because you want to cut through half of your 2x4. You want to dado out half of your 2x4, and then from your fence to your outermost blade of your dado blade, you want about 3 5/8, because a 10-degree doesn't change much, but it changes enough that 3.5 will leave a little bit of overhang, I guess is the word I'm looking for. But anyways, so we're going to dado these out. So we got those dadoed out, and y'all may be sitting there saying, hey Brady, we ain't got dado blades for our table saw. And my recommendation would be, we'll go get some. You know what I mean? Because you can use them. They're very, you know, it's something you can use a lot. If you say, well, Brady, I ain't even got a table saw. Well, guess what? That's all right too. You don't really necessarily have to have a table saw. What you can do is set a board up, take a skill saw, run your skill saw in curves, you know, run a bunch of them, just bam, 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 and then take your hammer, bust them off, and it'll be somewhat smooth. You can take a chisel and go at it, you can take a sander and go at it and get it to this point. So don't let not having a table saw or a dado blade for your saw stop you from building this swing. But anyways, so the way these work now, so they fit together like that. We'll throw 6 screws. We'll throw 2 and 1, flip it over and throw 2 and 1. But we're not gonna get to that. We're gonna finish cutting everything out first. All right, so this is our spines. See how they fit together? You know, we'll screw some screws there, but this is it. This is our 21, this is our 19 and a half. We'll cap that to make it 21. But this 21 incher is the bottom. This is your seat. The problem is this is not comfortable. You know what I mean? Sitting straight like this, it's not comfortable. You end up having to tilt your swing weird and everything just to get it to somewhat feel comfortable. So you kind of want to curve, and I'm going to show you how we're going to get that. Once you put him, just he's not screwed or glued. You just take from this point, you go 4 inches, and then you want to come down 1.5 inches to here. Okay, so there's, if you can see this, is 4.5 inches, right? Then you take the big side of your bucket, start him right at that point. So this is where our 2 meet. We start him there and we roll him until he lines up with that mark we just made. So we're gonna draw him out like so. Then here, we're gonna go 1.75 inches from the bottom of our seat. We're gonna go 1.75 inches up, right? That's because we're gonna cap that with one of our slats. So we go 1.75 inches. We take our bucket, we set our bucket on that mark, and then we twist him till he meets the top of our seat here. It's gonna round that edge. So we go ahead and draw him, right? And that covers our rounds. Now we're just gonna take something straight and go to our point here, and where this ends here, we're just gonna draw a straight line. That gives us a little more tilt so that we don't have to try to make it up in our chains. So we're gonna take a jigsaw or a bandsaw, whatever you got, and we're gonna cut that out. We're gonna do it on all 3 of them, but we'll cut this one and then use this one to trace these. Now that we've got those cut, what we're gonna do is, this is our backs. This is our spines, the back of our spines. So what we're gonna do is take some of our 2.5 inch torque heads. I'm gonna take and line him up. So this is the top of our bench here. So you're gonna take and screw him to one of the spines right on the edge here. We'll throw 2 of them in there. We'll do it to the other side. Now we want to find center. Should be 30 inches. We are going to check ourselves here though. Yep. Alright, now once we have those in, one thing to keep in mind, you got a 10-degree bevel here. It's going to make you want to set it like that. You don't set it like that. You take it and you go to the back, to the bottom side, and set it square so it stays square with all of this. And just so you know, that should be about 15 inches, give or take. That's where we're going to mark him, 15 inches. So, get him out of the way here. We'll go ahead and screw him in. So to figure out our herringbone pattern, first thing you want to do, this should be the middle of your board because it's 3/4 off. You want to come up here and mark him at 3/4. You're going to take your straight edge and you're going to draw yourself a line right down the center. Okay? Just like that. And then you're going to figure out how you want it. Ideally, you want a point to be right there at that middle part. You know, on that line, you want a point. And now you can either do them like this, or you can do them like this. You know, unless you're doing a 6-footer, then you would have 2 here, and you'd have to do them a little differently because of, you know. But a 5-footer, the way it works is, I think I'm gonna put it just like that. I want it to have as much. So I went to this corner here, and then I'm going right there, like it. And that way it's got as much. Actually, I don't like it. I'm gonna bring this back up. I'm gonna bring that right there. Yeah, I like it. I'm gonna do it just like that right there. Okay, so now all you have to do is transfer your marks to your board, like so. Same on this side. And we'll draw us a line across those 2 marks. And that'll give us our angle of what we want to cut these things. And that is a 30 degree. So what we're going to do is, we know this one to this point needs to be 35 inches, which means this one to that point should be 35 inches, and we know we need it at a 30 degree. So let's move to our chop saw. So what should happen in a perfect world is we take these 2 guys and we line him up just like that right there. There, just like that. Yep. And we look to be just a smidge. There we go. There. And all we do now is shorten our pieces. So here, for example, we need a 22. And then here, we need another 35. All right, so we started with our 2 35s. That's our 2 35s with our 30 degree. And then we went to some 22s with a 30 degree. And then this was just what was left out of that 5/4 board. So I just put a 30 degree on it because we're going to trim all this up anyways. But that'll sit there. So what we're going to do now is we'll start with these 35s, and we'll go ahead and screw everything in, and then we'll come back and trim it all off square to our back. So I'm going to do that. What we've done is we went ahead and we screwed everything off. I put 2 per board each edge. So there's 2 here, 2 here, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. And then I took my level and I went to the top of the notch where our spline's going to go right here. I went there, I marked him here, I drew a line, and ended up drawing a square all the way around. So what we'll do now is take our skill saw and we'll cut that line. There we go. So that's our herringbone back. Now we'll take and put a round over bed on these 3 edges here. So I'm going to do that. So So I'm going to do a 1/4 inch round over, and that's to mimic these decking boards what they already have. They already have a roughly a 1/4 inch round over, so I want it to kind of look seamless, our edges to these pieces that are in the middle. So I'm gonna put this in and I'm gonna do that. Once you got them sanded down, well, I'm gonna pull these off and stain them. If you're not going to, well, then you will be ready for assembly. So let me pull these off, stain them, and we'll move to assembly. So now that we're waiting on our stain to dry, what we want to do is take all of our pieces, our slats that we cut earlier, and we want to put the pretty side. You know, see this one's got, I see 3 knots here. There's only 1, 2 here, so I'm gonna call this the pretty side. This one, and what you're gonna want to do is take, and the middle ones will have a square edge on either side, so you're gonna route both of those. And then we want to sand everything, and then then we can start assembling. Okay, so now that we've got our back stained and clear coated, we're going to go ahead and start assembling our swing. You want to take your bottom piece here that you cut your curves in. We just want to put a little bit of glue here, a little bit of glue there. All smoothed out. Good coverage. Then we're going to take our 1 5/8" screws and always go outside in, because they're going to stick out just a little bit, and you can take a grinder afterwards and grind down those sharp points, or you can go with an 1 1/4" screw or 1 1/2" if you can find them with a torque head. But anyways, we're going to put 3 here, 2 at the top, 1 at the bottom, and then here we'll do 2 at the bottom, 1 at the top. So we're going to do that. Now once those are on, you just take our first piece and we'll screw him down and we'll flip him and run our wrist. So we take our first one here, and you line him up at the bottom and the edge of your spine. We'll do the same over here. Now we just take our 1/2 inch block and space it and install the rest. All right, now that we've got our seat done, now we'll put our cap on. And you want to make sure you leave it hanging over 1/4 inch from the front here, and that's for our band that we're going to put on later. Now when it comes to installing your handrail, when it comes to installing your armrest, you want to come from this front board, you want to come in 4 inches. And then you want to draw your straight line there. And that's going to be for your front post. The back one, you're going to put right on the corner of where these two meet down here at the bottom. You're going to put it right at that corner so it'll come straight up. You can go ahead and draw your line there. There, just so you can see, that's what you're going to be, that's where she's going to be sitting right there. And I usually just put 3 screws each, So it should sit flat. And if you got your line that's straight, we put 3 screws there and then put the back one on, and then we'll do the other side. So for our caps on our armrest, what you want to do is set him on top of your 2 risers coming up. When you get him where you want him, you're going to put a mark here, and that's just to show us where we're going to cut him out, and we're going to go 1.5 inches in. So we've got our mark, then we want to go 1.5 inches in. We want to cut that out. That's what we want them to cut out right there. And then once you get, you mark that, then a quart can works good. You want to use it just to draw a radius there. We'll round him off. And then on the front, we'll do the same on both edges. Use it to radius those off. We're going to cut that out. You should end up with something that looks something like this. That way when you slide him on, that's how he sits. Now we're going to do a 3.5 inch hole here. Now, I don't know if I said earlier, but these are 24 inches. They will be the drops off of these slats and everything off your 5/4 boards. So you'll need 2 of them, and you should have 2. Just make sure. So your hole, your 3.5 inch hole, will be 3 1/4 from the end and 2 3/4 from the edges. And you drill your 3.5 inch hole there. So now we have our armrest. He sits here, right, at 1.5 inches. And then you're going to take and trace this onto one of your drops from your herringbone. You should need about 9 1/4 inches, give or take 9 inches, something like that. But you're going to trace this around here. And then you're going to measure your 9 1/4. The way you get that 9 1/4 is when this is setting all the way back, you measure from the back side of your armrest, and mine's 9 1/4. Yours may be 9, 9.5. There's a little bit of play there, but either way, so you're going to measure this 9 1/4, and then trace your handrail onto that board, and you're going to end up with something that looks like this. So this is our 9 1/4. This is what we traced off of our handrail. Armrest, you go 3 inches and 3.5 inches. So it's 3.5 to cover the 2x4, 3 inches, that's our inch overhang, and then the 2x4, and it'll fit under here just like that right there. So that's what your finished product is going to look like, just like that. So I'm going to go ahead and finish cutting these. We'll install them. Now, what I did, I went ahead and routed my edges, and I sanded everything down. So we'll install him, put him on the back, just like he goes, so make sure he slid all the way back. And you're going to run 2 screws into the top of that first brace. You want to make sure he's 1.5 inches on that brace. So we'll screw him down. Then you want to run 2 screws into the top of that brace, like so. And then to mount the bottom of our cup holder, let's take you a piece of 2x4, set up under him, and then set that brace there. You're going to screw through that upright into that, to the bottom of your cup holder. Now, if you wanted to, you could be done. I think it looks great just the way it is. But I'm going to do a picture frame because I think it'll look better. I like the contrast of the stained wood against the raw wood. So I just ripped down 5 foot. I took a 2x4x5 and I ripped it down to 1/4 inch strips, which we talked about earlier, leaving this overhang. And I'm just going to put a picture frame around it. So I'm going to do that. Now that we've finished all that, all we have left is to install the chain. Now this kit came from my local Ace. I'm going to look on Amazon and see if I can find a link for you guys to pick it up, but it's an all-in-one, so it's an awesome thing. The only thing it doesn't give you is how to attach to the actual swing. You know, it gives you the hanging hooks and everything. But anyway, so what we're gonna do is take a 7/8 paddle bit, and you're gonna wanna go center of this upright, you know, just outside of it, but center, because you want one chain to go here, you want the other chain to go here. So we're going to drill that. It should be about 3 inches if you built it exactly like mine. 3 inches, and then from there you go if you go 2 1/8 inches off, that should keep you off of your upright. So we're going to drill that hole. So you want to go to the center of this upright, which is 5 3/4 plus 1 3/4 is 7 1/2. So 7 1/2 inches in will be the center of that upright, and then you want to go about 3 5/8 should be outside of that upright. So just in case, we're gonna go 7 1/2 and then 2 inches from the outside. What I'm gonna be using to attach it are these 3 1/2 inch structural screws. That when you mount your back one, you go to the end link and go through the very end link, and then you want to go about 2 inches up, or about center of those 2 screws. And then when you do your front one, you want to go 1 link. You want to cut that last link off because you want your front one to hang a little higher than your back one. So let me go get. So we want to cut that last link there off, because that would put our swing, if we left it, it would put our swing hanging perfectly level, and you want it tilted back a little bit. And then you want to go about 2 inches up. So we'll put our mark there at 2 inches, which is what that one is. And we'll run our screw in him. Just like that, that's how you build a herringbone back porch swing. I really appreciate y'all watching, and if you like the video, please give me a like and share. Love to see you subscribe. I'm planning on having a lot more come out this year. So I guess until next time, thanks for watching. Keep making dust.